سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Are the sisters ready? Are they all there now? Can you see me or hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Inshallah, today we'll start we'll talk about the Gora approach. Since it's been requested by some of the brothers that there are many people coming who are not actually believing in God, and they don't have belief in the revelation, and they don't have the foundations of having a religion. So it's difficult to talk to them about faith or about religious things or quoting from scriptures when there's no foundation. So, alhamdulillah, the brothers in UK, Brother Ibrahim Green, he's the head of I-Era, he invented this approach, which is very simple and very nice. Basically, the word Gora starts, the acronym Gora stands for, as you can see, God's existence. The G stands for God's existence, O for God's oneness, R for revelation, and A and P is for prophethood. So this is giving you like a roadmap when you're having a conversation with a non-Muslim, how you should start the conversation. What is the procedure? What are the things you should go step by step? Because sometimes when you talk to a non-Muslim, you go in different directions, you lose focus. So it's a structured approach for da'wah. Now this is very effective for street da'wah or table da'wah, or in a situation where people, they are not likely to come to the masjid. They're not interested to come to the mosque. And somebody, maybe you have a chance only to meet him for a few minutes. So it gives you some effective approach. But as I said, it's another way of doing da'wah. There are many ways. It's one of the approaches. And it has its pluses and minuses. So it depends on how you look at it. But I think it's a good approach and it can be effective with atheists, especially people who don't believe in God. So what it says basically is that when you meet a non-Muslim and you get into a conversation with him, before you tell him, like they may ask you a question sometimes. Okay, why do Muslims pray 5 times a day, or why do you fast Ramadan, and why do you do this? So sometimes what happens, one question leads to another question, and another question, and then it's endless. So what he's saying, you cannot really satisfy that person because he does not see things from the point of view that you are seeing it. Like he's wearing colored glasses. You have to remove his glasses and put on different glasses because he's seeing things through the colored glasses. Suppose his glasses are red colored glasses, you won't see what you're seeing. Even if you tell him all the reasons, rational reasons, logic behind it, he still thinks the same way because he has bias, he is prejudiced. He thinks things from his point of view. So what he's saying is that first you have to remove those glasses and put on new glasses for him, clear glasses, so he can see things clearly. So his approach is that we should first introduce to them that God exists. We have to ask them, first of all, does God really exist? You have to prove to them, first point, that God is existing. Then you have to prove to them that He's only one and unique. Okay? So you take them step by step. Step number 1, you have to prove to them that there is a God. And step number 2, that He's only one. He has no partners with Him. He's unique in His attributes. Step number 3, then there is a need for revelation. Step number 4, and there's a need for prophet. Simple as that. But it may take 10 minutes to do this. It may take 1 hour. It may take 10 days. It may take weeks. It may take months. It depends on the situation. So it's just giving you a roadmap how to follow the discussions with the non-Muslims. Because I said there's no point go to the next step if the first step is not accepted. So each step you have to confirm with that person that first he accepts that God exists. Then you have to accept that there's only one God and is unique and powerful. Third step, that there's a need for revelation. And the last and final step is there's prophethood. So if he accepts all these steps, then the last point is to ask him to make shahada. So it's not enough just to cover all this, but you have to put the invitation for him to accept Islam. This is what it means basically. So we start, initially how to start the conversation. Sometimes they ask you a question. There are many ways to initiate the conversation with a non-Muslim. Normally they may ask you a topic. If you're in the masjid, it's very easy. They will ask you questions. It's normal. So you can use that to try to turn that question to Gora. See, so for instance, they gave an example here. if somebody asks somebody a question, like this lady, the two girls sitting here, somebody asking, her name is Kate, and there's Fatima with Kate, and they're sitting together having some tea or juice in a restaurant. So Kate says, "Hi Fatima, it is so hot. I don't know how you can wear that headscarf. It must be like torture. Why do you wear it anyway? I find it quite pointless and restricting." So this is a question by non-Muslim. You could say, "Why are you wearing hijab? It's very hot. Don't you feel hot?" You know, anything you could find. Or even on the road, they may ask you if a woman asks another lady. So what she says, "Kate, I totally understand why you think like that. In fact, I used to think the same before I used to wear the hijab. But I really appreciate you asking me about it. But for you to truly understand why I wear the headscarf, you must first understand the foundations of Islam." So what he's saying is that if somebody asks you a question, say, "I thank you for the question. Thank you, it's a good question, I appreciate that. But before I answer you the question, you have to understand why we do this. So you have to know the foundations of Islam." Now this is how to bring them to Gora. But at the same time, you have to tell them, "But you have a few minutes to spare. Can you spare me some few minutes?" He has to accept, because you don't know what is it. Maybe he's in a hurry, maybe he doesn't have time. So he must be ready. If he says yes, then khalas. You have got one step. You have got him and hoped. Because you need to have him committed to listen to you. Secondly, you let him to continue saying yes, 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 yes throughout. Because once you say he says yes the beginning time, the next time it will be easier to say yes and yes. But once he says no, the rest will be no, no, no. It's normal like that. Human nature and psychology is like that. So first step, initiate the conversation. This is one approach. And another approach is, you could, if somebody is asking you a question, you could answer him. Like, "Okay, thank you, you're doing a mosque tour, for instance," and they ask you, "Okay, why you're praying 5 times a day?" Say, "That's a very good and important question. Thank you for asking me. But for you to truly understand this, I will have to tell you first the foundations of Islam. We have to understand what is the foundation on which Islam is based on." Another way you could say, you could give a brief answer. Give him an answer, briefly, but then say, "Really, to understand why we're doing this, I have to explain to you the basic foundations of Islam." No problem. So there are many ways to do this. Doesn't mean you don't answer them. No, you can answer them, but briefly, and then go to this Gaurav approach. So this is the way he's doing it. Now, suppose these people, they have not asked you any questions. They're just walking on the streets. Like Brother Mukhtar goes on the street, find people walking around. How to start the conversation? This is more challenging. So you have to find something to open the conversation. So there must be a way to do it. So he proposed another way, which is like, you ask open-ended questions. "Excuse me, what do you think is the purpose of life? You know, what do you think that life has a meaning, or is it just a game?" You know, you make up a question like that. "Or do you believe there's a creator in our universe? If then why? If not why?" You know, just try to get them to stop and answer something. So you have to find a reason. You know, you just have to stop. "Excuse me, I have a question. I've been thinking about something. Can you give me your opinion about this? What do you think about this? Does life have a real purpose? Are we here by chance? Is there a creator in this universe? If you say yes, if yes, why? And if no, why?" So get him to stop and tell you something. So once you start the conversation, say, "By the way, my name is, I'm pleased to meet you, my name is Farhat, and what's your good name, where are you from?" Try to make that connection. Once he stops to talk to you and explain what the answer, so you can say, "Oh, by the way, I'd like to introduce myself." Then you introduce your name, "I'm Ayub, and I'm from Tunisia, where are you from?" And get to know that. Then you can say, "Okay, why don't we have a little conversation, okay? But I would like you to spare me some time. Can you give me some time, please?" "All right, okay, please." Then you stop and talk to him. So you have to get them connected to you initially. That's the most difficult part. Especially if you're doing it outside the mosque. People are maybe busy, they're going someplace, or they're waiting for some bus or taxi, or they have a meeting. If they have nothing to do, then there's a lot of time to talk with them. So this is the way you start the conversation. Okay? So you have many questions. You can make up these are examples of the questions you could ask. It's very easy, and most people would not mind to say, "Yes, we think there's a creator." They could ask, "Why do you think there's a creator?" If it says no, then so why do you think there's no creator? So you have to keep the conversation. Then you said, "Okay, why don't we have a little conversation on this? and if you don't mind, just spend a few minutes. Then you get them engaged, and you can get started and have a rapport with them. Now, it's another example of how to do da'wah on the bus. Okay, there's one Wasim, he's on the bus, he's a Muslim, and there's another man who is a non-Muslim. So Wasim gets on the bus and says, hello, do you mind if I sit here? Okay, normally the people crowd. He said, yes, of course, you can sit down. Then Wasim said, thank you very much. He smiled at the man. I'm glad that I got to sit. I would have to stand up for that 1 hour. So the man will laugh and say, yes, it's really busy around this time. Everybody's going back home from work. So it's normal conversation, general conversation. Then Wasim will say, yes, you're right. Are you sure? Are you from around this place? Are you coming from this area? He said, no, I just work here. But Wasim said, oh, I see, I'm just studying in the university. Then I used to go there to find a common ground. I go to that university also. So, what do you do? What do you study? I said, I studied medicine. I'm now a doctor. And continue. So this is how you get the matter going. Then at the end, you can introduce your questions. Say, nice to meet you, David. I know this is random and out of the blue, but can I get your opinion on something that I've been thinking of lately? So find a way to ask him some question. What do you think, how do you think the universe came into existence? So this is how you get Gora now approach started. So you could say, I'm not sure, I've never really thought about it. So then you can say, okay, let us have a discussion about this. So it's basically very easy. It's just about talking about God, existence, His oneness, and the need for revelation and prophethood. So starting the conversation is the difficult part. It has to do with people's skills. People are very different. Now if you smile, you are friendly, they will open up easily. But sometimes people will not be in a mood to talk to you. They may be having some problems on their mind, they don't want to talk to you, so you have a problem there. But in most cases, if you go to the general public, people don't mind. You get out of 10, one person will stop and talk to you. Okay? Now, always think, when you talk to them, like we have to start with step number 1. You have to tell them before you get into the conversation, we have to establish at least a certain rule. We have to agree about a certain rule of conversation. We'll make sure that our conclusions are based on common reason and common sense. We should only use it based on logic. Because what happens is this, when you talk to the non-Muslim about these things, if you don't tell them from the beginning, we use our common sense and logic as the basis of decision, you will end up at the end of discussion, after 40 minutes of discussion, they say, well, but I believe this is not the same thing, and it's not really possible. It gives a philosophical argument. So it means all what you've done is wasted your time. So I don't really think that is the case, or something else. I believe that he really became man or something like that. That is not really the way you think. So you have to go with him step by step. So from the beginning, tell him or tell that person, let us agree on common rules. First step, we'll use only common sense and reason and logic as the basis for deciding anything. So step number 1, let us see, does God really exist? So you can start with the point that we know that nothing comes from nothing. That this universe must have a beginning. And this is confirmed in the Holy Quran. Or were they created by nothing? Or were they the creators of themselves? Or did they create the heavens and the earth? Rather, they are not certain. أَخُلِقُوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ أَمْ هُمُ الْخَالِقُونَ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us the main argument to argue with the non-Muslims. Who created them? Did you create yourselves? What about the heavens and the earth? Did they come by themselves? It's a logic. It's a logical argument for the atheists. They can see the universe. They can see that they are alive. So who created them? This is a good point. No theory of evolution can explain the existence of the universe or that they were created. It's not possible. Especially the universe cannot have come through evolution. Now you can tell them, scientists have discovered that the universe had a beginning. We know about the Big Bang, okay? And this has been confirmed that at one point there was no universe, okay? So before that, they don't know what happened. But they said there was one point, a Big Bang, and the universe was created and is still expanding. And this is confirmed in the Holy Quran. أَفَلَا يَرَى الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَنَّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ كَانَتَا رَتْقًا فَفَتَقْنَاهُمَا. So Allah said, don't the unbelievers see that the heavens and the earth were one thing and we split it asunder. So the problem with this is normal, so they know, okay, the universe is expanding. So what did the scientists say? If we reverse reverse this expansion to become nothing, to contract to nothing. So that means that this universe had a beginning. Since it's expanding, if you go reverse the process, goes to nothing, it will go back to square one, 0. Means at one point it will not exist. So it has a beginning, so it's not eternal. It had a point of starting. So this means that there are 3 possibilities. You tell them now there are 3 answers you can say. One is that the universe came from nothing, which is not logical. You can ask them, do you think that something can come from nothing? Of course not. Then you can tell them, suppose you are in your living room, it will be acceptable, reasonable to say that a pink elephant will jump from nowhere into your living room? Of course not. It's not possible. So it cannot be just something happens from nothing. So there has to be a cause. So we believe there's cause and effect in this universe. So this is not an option. You can say this is not an option. We cannot accept that something can come from nothing. There has to be a source. So this you can eliminate as the first option. Then the second option, the universe created itself. There's another option. So you can tell them, is it possible to believe that the universe created itself? Cannot be. Because it's like saying the mother gave birth to herself. Like, if the universe became a creation, then who created that creation? There has to be another one. It will be infinite. It cannot be. It means it had at one point been existing, and another point is not existing. There are 2 contradictory positions. So if you say the universe has created itself, means that it is both existing and not existing at the same time, which is irrational. Either you're existing or you're not existing. So this is not an acceptable argument, because the universe has to have a creator. It cannot create itself, because it becomes a creation. So logically, a creation needs a creator. So you cannot have a creation being the creator and the creation at the same time. It's opposite, it's contradicting each other. So this is not an answer, it's not an option. The final option is 1. Logically and rationally, the universe must have a creator. There's no other option. It cannot create itself, nor did it come from nothing, so there must be somebody who started this process. This is what we can say. Is it rational? Is it acceptable? Yes. Then we accept that the universe had a creator. This is 1 point. So you start with this point. If he agrees, then you move to the next point. Okay. When we study the universe, we see that we have planets, solar systems, galaxies, stars, everything in this universe indicates amazing power and intelligence. So we have to know that somebody who did this must be very, very intelligent and very powerful. See, how to maintain all these galaxies, all these planets, all this wonderful creation that in the universe needs a lot of power. The sun, you know how many million miles from the earth, and so much heat is producing. The stars, which are so far away, the galaxies, and everything is moving in a proper manner. There must be some intelligent power controlling all this. Why the planets are not colliding with each other? So the next point you can tell them, we see there is order in our solar system. It's nothing by coincidence. It doesn't happen haphazardly. So we see every planet moves around its orbit on precise, exact orbits. The sun is set at a specific distance from the earth. If the sun was actually the earth was 1 mile closer to the sun, we will all burn, finish. And if we are 1 mile away, it will become too cold for us, we will all freeze. It's at the precise, exact position. Okay? So, in the Quran, Allah says, indeed, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the alternation of the night and day are signs for those people who understand. إِنَّ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَعْقِلُونَ.
We show him some verses from the Quran?
No, this is for us. We don't show, we can only, this is for us. Why we're putting these points? Because we're trying to show the logic behind it. Why we're using this system, there is a logic behind it from the Quran. Okay? So this is the basis of this argument. But for them, we don't use the Quran because they don't believe in the Quran. It's for us to understand why we're saying. So we can tell them, if you see anything that is ordered, organized, it means there's intelligence. Suppose you walk around, you're in the desert, you find the latest iPhone, mobile phone, Apple iPhone 5 or Galaxy S6 or S5, whatever. And would you believe this came by itself? This wonderful phone, smartphone, could put itself by itself? Of course not. You know, somebody must have made this phone. It's too complicated to be just by coincidence. Okay? Even though the parts of the phone, you have the glass, it could be originally from the sun. And you have mechanical things come from the minerals of the earth, like iron and other steel and other metals. But you don't believe that all this came together by itself. It's impossible. So the logic says that somebody must have put all these different parts together. So anything that shows complexity and order means there is somebody who made it. So this is another example. Another example he gave is that suppose you're walking by the sea, by the beach, you see somebody wrote the words hello on the sand. H-E-A-L-L-O, hello. So you cannot say this came by itself, because somebody has to put those letters to make it meaningful. So it's not possible that the wind blew and the water came and this happened and that happened and suddenly the words came into place. Cannot happen. Somebody must have done this. So this is normal intelligence. If you walk into the factory and so all the machines are working properly, manufacturing jeans and clothes, everything's working in order, there must be somebody managing this factory. It doesn't work by itself. So somebody must be behind this. So anything that shows order, complexity, system, means there is an intelligence behind it. So this is to show that nothing happens by chance. It's not haphazard situation. There is order, there is a system, there is a complexity in the process. Now,
sometimes I say the non-Muslim and I give them an example.
Yeah.
This example is...
Can you use the mic, please?
So, Sheikh, sometimes I give to the non-Muslim an example for a robot, because they don't believe in God, in Creator. So I say to them, I will give you an example. It's like a man do a robot. This robot, without, for example, without book, without something, without roof, he can't move. So we are human like a robot. So, and we believe in the Quran, and the Quran, I talk a little bit about Sharia. So, معناها نؤمن بالقرآن بحكم أنه he never changed before 1,400 years ago. So that's it.
Right. Okay, the thing is that we are talking about atheists. Okay, we're talking about people who don't believe in anything. So this is not the time to introduce Quran. As I said, the God approach comes later. The Quran and Prophet Muhammad comes at the end. The idea is first to establish the main concept is there is a God. Because he denies God's existence. If you're talking to an atheist, there's no need to talk about the Quran in the beginning. He doesn't believe in the Quran. So it's like taking him gradually to believe in the Quran and Prophet Muhammad. That's the objective. But you start with the first and most important, there must be a God. Because this universe exists. Now, if the universe exists, means there's somebody who made this universe. It didn't come by chance. Because we disqualify the fact that the universe cannot create itself. Nor can it come from nothing. There must be something to come from something. So, who started this process? Must be some creator. The second point you have to prove is that this creator is intelligent, is powerful. Because we see the universe, it is a great creation. It's very a powerful creation of Allah. Because you see the heavens, how the stars are so huge, so far away. But what we know that the atomic reaction taking place is something amazing. The sun is one of the smallest stars, actually. And even from 93 million miles away from us, see how much light and heat is giving us. It's been going for so many years. The planets, how they revolve around the sun, on specified orbits. The galaxies, there's so many galaxies. Our galaxy is just a Milky Way galaxy. There's so many other galaxies much bigger than ours. And there's so many things happening in the universe that it will make our brains blow out. So it means that we are looking at a situation where it's absolutely amazing. We can talk about the fact that we have in the universe, we have the ozone. Allah's put an ozone layer over the earth. You know what would happen if there was no ozone layer? We'll be harmed by the rays of the sun. Some of the rays of the sun are very harmful for us. So Allah's put this, something is covering us to protect us. So it cannot have been by chance. The gravitation force of I mean, the Earth axis is tilted. You know, the axis of the Earth is tilted. If it was changed, what will happen? Chaos. We cannot live on this Earth. It's just tilted at the right angle, so we get proper seasons and everything is controlled, and there is exposure of light and the heat from the sun, so it has a perfect tilt. If this was to change, the Earth cannot be inhabitable. The size of the moon and the sun and the Earth in the right side. If the size of the sun and Earth was different, be either too cold or too hot. So there's a lot of reason behind this. If you look at the fact that we have the gravity, the force of gravity is very, very specific, and if we had a different gravity, we may not be able to walk on this Earth. You see, like on the moon, there's low gravity. You will be, always floating in the air. So everything is precise. So why are you quoting these examples? To make them understand, can this all be by chance? Can this all be by coincidence? No. Somebody put it and is very intelligent and very powerful. So all these facts point to the fact that there is intelligence and order in the universe. This is the bottom line. You're taking them step one, there is a God. Now this God has to be very intelligent, very powerful. The step two. You ask him, do you agree with me? Yes. Let's move to the next step.
Intelligence in Arabic, what does it mean?
No?
Intelligence.
Intelligence ذكاء أو قوة والعلم يعني من الذكاء يعني حكمة وباور يعني intelligence قدرة القدرة والعلم. This is what it means. Because if you think about the universe, even somebody doesn't, it cannot be that the sun, the moon, the stars, they all came by themselves and they're moving by themselves without colliding with each other, without causing chaos. If there was no God, you could expect at least there should be some chaos in the universe. The sun may sometimes blow out or not work, or the moon will not go in the proper, it may collide with the earth. Or you may say that the earth will go in a different orbit. But everything is moving in a precise way, orderly way, without any chaos happening. The day and the night is changing almost perfectly. You don't even feel it. So this is a sign. إِنَّ فِي اخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ and Allah give us all the signs, the changing of the day and the night, the seasons, the months, and everything is moving according to it. You can even calculate by calculations. There are precise calculations for everything in the universe. So we tell the people, those people don't believe in Allah, okay, we see that there is order in the universe, you accept, of course they will accept. These are facts which are known. So there must be that there's a powerful creator. So this is the conclusion we come to, that we can conclude that the best explanation for this universe, there is a creator who has created this universe, who has an amazing amount of power and intelligence. And there's an ayah which says, وَالسَّمَاوَاتُ وَالْأَرْضَ خَلَقْنَاهُ بِأَيْدٍ وَإِنَّا لَمُوسِعُونَ. Yeah, this is a verse from the Quran which proves this point also. Now the second, which is more challenging, yes.
Is there a difference if we are talking to an atheist who is an ex-Muslim?
An atheist who is what?
Ex-Muslim.
The same thing, you have to talk to them the same way. But of course, okay, if he still believes, if he believes in Allah and he believes in the Prophet, but how can he be a believer? He's murtad, If somebody believes in Allah and he's not applying that, he's like Asi, he's not praying, he's not fasting, because of laziness, that's different. You have to use the Islamic approach, based on Iman and belief. And you have to give him, encouragement to accept, to follow the truth. But he denies, means he's become murtad, means you have to use the same approach. Because why he's gone back to the point of being an atheist now. Yeah, so this is the approach for all those people. And of course, certain people may say, I believe in God, but I believe not only one. This is another issue. He believes in God, but he believes there are many gods, like Hindus. They don't believe in one God, they believe so many gods. And they believe that they all have, big and small, all these different things. So we have to take them step by step. So the first point, we have to clear that there is a creator, yes, and he's powerful, he is very intelligent. Yeah.
If he believes in many gods,
Yeah.
we jump to the next
Exactly.
almost to
Exactly. So if already he has believing in God, you go to the next point, the oneness of God. So the go up is like step by step. But already somebody has got one step, it's like you go to the next step. You don't have to start again from the very beginning. Yeah.
also, can we I think we can add to this, to the universe, we can have complications in our body and our body.
Of course, Hisham has added a very good point. We can use other examples. Doesn't have to be, we talk about the universe because it's very obvious. The universe is, nobody doubts about it, it's very clear. But you can talk about the human being. The human brain is one of the most complicated things. How many, I don't know, billion cells you have? So many cells you have in your brain, and how it operates is amazing. The eye, the human eye is a miracle by itself. And all our body system is a miracle. Because if you're going to replicate like the function of the liver, you see how they do the dialysis for those people with liver, they have to bring a big machine just to clean up your liver. It's a huge machine, called dialysis machine, and you stay hooked on that for so long. But see, the liver is so tiny and does the job very well. You know, subhanAllah. And everything, the heart, how it pumps blood from the time you're in the womb of your mother till you die. Subhanallah. So everything you can think of is a good example. You can use, this is just examples we're giving, but things that they agree upon, they know that this is really something complicated, needs a proper, cannot have happened by chance. So you can use these examples if you find it's relevant. Now,
just a comment.
Yeah,
when you come to the human body,
yeah,
they can take you to another conversation about the evolution. So it may take ages to discuss this.
The problem with them, that's why human beings, sometimes they'll say they evolved from lower species and then from monkeys and all these things. This, you can avoid it by talking about the universe. See, because they'll say, oh, we evolved from lower species, like we started from the water and then, from the single cell and then became, reptile, then became whatever, amphibious, so on, until you became a human being. So this is the problem with using such examples. But if you say about the universe, there's no question of evolution in the universe. It's already been there from the before. It was no evolution in the sense that it had to go from one stage to another. It's created like that from the beginning. So there's no dispute about it. That's why it's more safer, you're on safer ground. They're talking about human beings or animals. They might think that maybe there's evolution. They believe in fear of evolution. Yeah, it's a good point. But now the problem is how to convince them that Allah is only one. This is the other second stage. Because they said, okay, we agree there is a creator of the universe and he's powerful, he's knowledgeable, okay, fine. Now, how can you get him to agree to the second point?
Shaykh?
Now.
Sorry, just a question before moving
on.
You said that you mentioned the evolution. What do you think about evolution? Because many Muslim scientists, they do not reject this theory. They do believe in some parts of it and reject other parts.
What I understand, if we don't deny that evolution can take place within the same species, like we call it adaptation. Like an animal may develop certain characteristics to adapt to the environment. Because I've seen cockroaches which are flying, okay? Before you had cockroaches which could not fly. Then over time they learned to fly, but it became smaller to resist the modern, medicines and things we're using, and how to survive. You have mosquitoes now which are resistant to the malaria queen, which they used to treat before, medicine for malaria. Now you have new brands which resist this kind of thing. So these plants and animals, they can develop certain characteristics to survive in the environment. They adapt. Even humans can adapt to the environment, but they don't change from one species to another species. This is the difference. So we believe that within the same species there can be a kind of adaptation, or you can call it evolution, or development of new traits to survive in an environment. That is possible. That is not something we reject. It's obvious that certain animals can develop certain characteristics to overcome the challenges of that environment. Even human beings can adapt to different climates. Even we know that people, before there used to be, maybe tall and huge. Adam was very tall, and now we are becoming small, and our brains are becoming bigger, because depending on how we are using our bodies and how we are using our brains. But we don't believe in the evolution, as the evolutionists are saying that we were created from a single cell. Because the Quran says clearly, Allah created us from Adam. There's no doubt about that. So, Adam was not created from any animal or any single cell. He was created from the beginning. Allah created from the clay or the dust with his own hands and said be and he was. So there was no evolution for Adam. We know that for sure. So human beings did not evolve from those species. That's clear from the Quran. And then from the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Kulkum min Adam wa Adam min Turab. So there is no evolution,
When you tell the foreigner people this answer, they will tell you that 99% of scientists in the world are evolutionists and are Darwinists. And so when you mention these arguments, they would say, who are you? Are you telling me this is science? So maybe I want to add something here, that the problem that the main problem is that we do not have scientists, Muslim scientists, who can prove that this theory is wrong to Darwinists.
No, there is. They are proved. You see, this is not actually a fact. The theory of evolution is a theory. Actually, it is a hypothesis. Most people say it's not even valid today. Most people stop even teaching theory of evolution. There's no validity that is confirmed fact, not scientifically confirmed fact. Because before you attain to be, first it can start as a hypothesis, and then they have to become a theory, but it cannot become a fact until it's confirmed to be true. Now there are a lot of problems with the theory of evolution. Okay, there's a lot of missing links, because they cannot really prove that we have really connected from there's similarities, yes, but there's no way to prove that the human being developed from the apes. There are some things which are still missing. So we believe that until now the theory of evolution is not a confirmed scientific fact. It's still a theory, as they call it, a theory. And there are many schools now in America, they don't teach theory of evolution, because they say there are a lot of flaws in the logic of the theory of evolution, because it doesn't answer certain questions about the origin of the universe, for instance. You can tell them, how does the theory of evolution explain the existence of the universe, how the universe came to existence? It doesn't explain it. It cannot explain it, yes. Tafadhal, one moment.
Just to use the mic and
Tafadhal. Is it off? Put it on.
Yeah, just to tell the sister and everybody who's interested in knowing about the theory of evolution, there is a scholar called Harun. He made some very interesting documentaries about this, and he's showing arguments that deny this theory.
So you can go to Harun Yahya's site. He has a site on, he has all these answers to this theory of evolution and how he disapproves the theory of evolution.
Shaykh?
Yes.
I read Harun Yahya, and I took arguments from it when I talked to foreign people.
Yeah.
But they said to me, Harun Yahya is not a scientist, and we cannot take his argument as a strong one. So every time they find an answer back to what you're saying.
Okay. Jazakallahu khairan. But can you ask them, how can you explain the universe, the creation of the universe? By evolution.
They would say, Sheikh, it's by chance.
My God. Then you see, this is what I'm saying. You have to explain. Okay, by chance, you can tell, can something come by itself and be orderly, organized, like we have been mentioning now. This is what I'm saying. The Torah eliminates this possibility that the universe came by chance, because it's too complicated and too orderly to be by chance. It's not possible that we would have come by chance. Okay.
They talk about evolution. Let's suppose that dinosaurs now are crocodiles or something.
Yeah.
Why there are people and apes? We should.
Okay, let us. We're losing track from. Okay, what I'll do is just one more comment, and we'll continue. This theory of evolution is a dispute. It's a dispute among the scientists themselves. If you go on the net, you find many scientists who are against evolution, and the others who support evolution. Okay. But we as Muslims, we believe, we know clearly that the evolution does not answer the question of the origin of the universe. Okay? It does answer maybe some questions, certain animals, certain plants, which have developed from lower species. Maybe it could answer that. But it cannot answer how the universe came into existence. This question, they cannot answer it. And there are many issues which they have discussed also on the internet regarding the evolution, that there are certain things which cannot be explained, like the spiritual experiences of the consciousness, being conscious, okay, having the morality, having these values. These are aspects which are not possible, because it's like from a vegetable, how you get to reach that state of consciousness and having this morality, the need for religion. They can't explain these things.
How can they explain soul?
The soul cannot be explained by evolution, the human soul. That is, the other problem is that they think that they can answer all the evolution doesn't answer all these things. Even the single cell, it's so complicated that, you see, the human, they call the protein cells, it has so many things in it. Even the way it's complicated, I needed to say, this one single cell, how did it come into existence? The first cell, they said that from which we all evolved. Did it come by chance also? Is it possible that you can put this cell together, all these enzymes, the proteins and that, they're so complicated, it cannot have happened just by chance. So why don't they replicate that single cell? So the single cell, which they saw the source of all human life or plant life or animal life, itself, that one must have somebody who created it.
Yes, Sheikh.
Yeah.
The theory of evolution is just a theory. Yes, it's a theory. Darwin, when he he give this theory without technology, without nothing, just with travel and his thinking and what he see. But our science right now, exactly, Western science, they prove if this theory is wrong, and with technology, with everything, they do. Understand me?
Okay. See, you can put it in the back. Okay, fine. Okay, this is another issue. We'll be sidetracked. The evolution theory is not a fact; it's a theory, and there are problems with the theory of evolution. Maybe it does answer some questions, but it doesn't answer all the questions. Because the problem with the theory is that, see, some people are trying to make it a fact. They're trying to teach it as a fact. But it's not been confirmed scientifically that it's correct. It's not true. This is not true. Darwin himself did not say it's a fact. He says it's a theory. He observed some birds on Robben Island. He had gone there and saw they were developing certain characteristics. And he didn't say this applies to all the species. He just said it's a possibility. So he gave his own theory. But some people are taking this and trying to make it as the real answer for the existence of the universe and the existence of man, how we develop from lower species, because they don't want to believe in God. They don't want to accept there's the God or creator of the universe. They're looking for an alternative. Yeah, they want to make something to make them, believe that there's another answer for the cause of the existence. But it's,
the problem is in our time, with our group, they stay.
Microphone, please.
Okay. We need to move on, but okay.
Sheikh, the problem is, in our time with our group, they stay teaching the theory of evolution. This is the problem.
والله قضية شائكة. It's not easy to answer this question. You need a scientist, Muslim scientist, who can answer this question, because the scientist can reply with them with scientific facts. And I think there is one doctor, what's his name? Egyptian doctor in UK, is a geologist. Hey, Zaghlul Najjar. He's given good answers. Maybe you can check with him on his site. He's given some from the study of the geology and the physical aspects of the universe and the creation of the mountains and the complexity. It's impossible to have been by chance. Yeah. So the problem is that the universe is so complicated and so intricate, and the systems work like clockwork. If you saw a Swiss clock, you know how it works? It cannot have been by chance. Everything is put in place specifically, precisely. It works like a clock, tick, 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 tick. How can this happen? Just everything put together by chance? It's like you don't have mind to say that. Because human mind, logic requires that something that is organized, that is orderly, that's complicated, must have been put together by somebody who is intelligent. This is the logic behind this. So if they want to use the logic, you can say yes. If you see the universe, you can tell them the distance of the Earth from the Sun, for instance, is 93 million miles. What would happen if the Earth was 1 mile closer or 1 mile lower? What will happen? Finished. It will be either it will be too hot to be burnt or too cold. Was it precisely at this point? Did this happen by chance? Fine. Okay, the ozone layer. Suppose there was no ozone layer, what would have happened? Is by chance? It would be harmed by the sun's rays. Okay, the Earth is tilted on a certain angle, 12.5 degrees on the axis. What if there's a different tilt? What would happen? What about the stars? What about the moon? And why does it collide with the Earth and the sun? Or whatever. You can talk about so many things. So it's not only one fact. There are hundreds of facts which show that the universe is working on a precise manner, in fixed orbits. Each planet moves on its orbit smoothly. It doesn't change. And the distances are all well calculated. So you don't see all planets colliding with each other or there is some kind of confusion. Because if you say things happen by chance, there must be at least some percentage of chaos should happen. Because chance cannot guarantee there should be order. So if everything is haphazard, at least once in a while you see planets colliding, something going wrong, something happening, not following the proper order. But so far we've seen everything happening correctly. So from logic, you can say that there must be a power that's controlling the universe. This is logical. So if they don't want to accept it, that's their choice. What can you do?
Sheikh,
Now,
excuse me. We can use the way of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to prove the oneness of God. When he found a mushrik worshipping many gods, he asked him, how many gods you are worshipping? He says 8. He asks him, who's giving you food? Those in the earth or those in the heaven? And he answered, the one in the heaven. And he asks him, who's giving you health? The one in the earth or the one in those in the earth or those in the heaven? He asks the one in the heaven. So he tell him, why you are worshipping 7 gods in the earth who don't give you food, neither health, nothing. And you don't worship the one only who gives you health and food, all you want. So
this is actually for people who believe in God, but they associate others with God.
Yes, we are talking about oneness.
Yeah, so I agree, but we're talking now how to approach an atheist. See, the thing is, the sister, that is a good argument for the mushrik. Somebody is associating other. He believes there is Allah, but he also believes the other gods, he has to worship them. So Rasulullah wants to make him understand that the ones he's worshipping on earth, whether they're 8 or 100 or thousands, they don't benefit him or harm him. So, and when even the mushrikeen of Quraysh, when they used to travel on the sea, and if there is a big storm and the sea is about, they believe they're going to drown, whom they call upon? They call upon Allah sincerely. But when they get on the land, they start making shirk. So that means that they accept there is a God. They don't deny it. وَلَئِنْ سَأَلْتَمْ مَنْ خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ لَيَقُولُنَّ اللَّهُ. But what they do, they still commit shirk. So they believe that they need to worship other gods also. So Rasulullah was trying to logically reason with them. If you are hungry, okay, who is providing for you food? The one in the heaven, and I said, the one in the heaven. If you are sick, who will cure you? The one on earth. So he's trying to show them who is really the God that you should, because he's benefiting you, he's giving you health, he's giving you food, he's providing for your needs, he's helping you when you're in need. Then why you worship these others? This is logic. So why should I worship another God when the other God is providing for me, taking care of me? Why do you need a God? Because you need him to help you, to protect you, to solve your problems, to give you what you want. But these other guys are not giving me anything. So why should I worship them? So this is good logic with those who associate others with God. With the non-believers, it doesn't work because they don't believe in God. So you have to try to go step by step. That's what we are doing through this approach. You had a question, brother?
It's not a question, but we can answer them by who speak about theory of evolution.
You can use the mic, please, because the sisters cannot hear you. Okay, use the mic.
We know that monkeys changed to human. Why we still humans? Monkeys changed to human. Why we are still human? Why we are not changed till now? Also, for instance, Earth. Why it doesn't change till now? Is
Sheikh?
I can just answer this question to the brother.
Okay.
What do they say? They say that you need millions of years to see the achievement. So you cannot just see a monkey returning to a human in just 10 years. So you should see billions of years. So it took a lot of times. That's why this is the answer of atheists.
I agree. I know that's what they say. This is the true answer they'll give. So we cannot argue with them on this point. See, they believe in evolution. Let them believe in evolution. What we can tell them, we believe that the universe has a creator. Now, there are only three possibilities. Okay? Either the universe came from nothing or by chance. Okay? Or it created itself, or it has a creator. There's no fourth option. So we tell them logically, there is only three options. Now, if something can come from nothing, then this is something a problem. Now you can give them an example. Do you expect a pink elephant to jump into your house, into your living room, out of nothing? Would you accept that as an answer? Of course not. Do you think some human being will pop out from somewhere without anything and come into your house? Not possible. There has to be some process. The universe has a law of cause and effect. This we know it totally. Everything has a cause and effect. So, if we have seen this law of cause and effect in the universe, means that there has to be something has to come from something else. If you see a table, you come into a room, you see a table. You logically say there's a carpenter who made this table. He did not make itself. If you see a beautiful car, you see his Benz, did it put itself together? No way. There's somebody manufactured this car. So logically, if you see something that has order, has complexity, has design, there must be somebody intelligent who did this. This is logic. So the table has to have a carpenter, the building has to have an architect or constructor, the car has to have somebody who made it. Somebody has to make that thing. So what about the universe? It cannot have come from nothing. So out of nothing comes nothing. This is logic. So use logic with them. Then you can tell them, okay, what about, did it create itself? This is another option. Now, to create itself means that at one point it was existing, then became non-existent. So it cannot be both. You cannot create yourself because you need a creator to be created. So the creator is different from the creation. So the creator, he creates something, but he cannot be both at the same time. Either you are a creator, or you are created. So if the universe created itself, so like saying the mother gave birth to herself. How does that make sense? It's irrational. So if the creator became, the creation is, he needs another creator to create him. And that one will need another creator, be infinite creators. It doesn't make sense. So we have to distinguish between the two. So it cannot be that it created itself. It is against rationality. The third position, which is the logical position, that there must be somebody who's originated the universe. It cannot be that it happened by, there's no origin. There must be somehow somebody who started this process. Now the scientists all agree it was that there is a Big Bang. This was discovered in 1929 by Edwin Hubble. He said the universe is expanding, and the Big Bang theory is accepted now in the scientific circles as a fact, and the Quran proves that. But how did it start? Who made the Big Bang? Did it come out and say no? Somebody must have started the process. Okay? So Newton said one of the rules is that for each action there is a reaction, and nothing can move unless there is a force that forces it to move. So it cannot be that the universe started by itself and having a Big Bang without anybody starting the process. So there's somebody who started this process. Now, Namia, please.
If we are asking who created the creator, how will you answer?
If they ask who is the creator of God?
Yes.
Yeah. See, you can tell them, since the universe, we say, has a beginning, okay? That means that it has to have a creator. Now, if you say the creator became the creation, means that you'll have an endless chain of creators, because you need another creator. So you say, okay, if there's many creators, like God created, then somebody created him, another one has to have created him. You'll end up with an infinity of creators. That means that you never finish. There has to be one creator who has no beginning and no end, who started the process, otherwise you never end. So the fact that the universe exists, that means somebody created it. I'll give you an example. Somebody, his car breaks down, Okay, it comes to, somebody said, please help me to push this car to start it. I said, I will do it, but on condition that my neighbor helps me. Okay, he has to help me to do so. Then you go to the neighbor says, no, I need my other neighbor also to help me, and so forth. Each neighbor says, I'll do it on condition. Will he ever move that car? Will he ever get it pushed? Never. So that means if every creator needed a creator to create him, you'll never get this universe created. It will be an endless process. The same thing, that car will not be moved. Everybody requests that his neighbor should come along. Then there will be no end to this process. The fact that the universe is existing means somebody started it. So that means that God has to be eternal. He has no creator. He's always there. He's eternal. So logical means that somebody has to have started the process. Otherwise, we never end. If God had to have a creator, then who created that one? Who created that one? We'll keep going on and on and on till eternity, infinity. That means there will be no universe in existence. Nothing will be created. Because everybody will need a creator. And who created that will never end. But the fact is that the universe is existing. We can see it. We know there's a process that has taken place. So the fact that it exists means there's one person who created it, or one entity that created it, one being that created it, that has no creator. Because it has to have a starting point. But this being is eternal. He is continuous, because otherwise it will be like his creation. So the being who started this process has to have no creator. This is for sure. Because otherwise there will be no end to the creator. So the reality of the fact is that we know the universe exists because there's a creator. Otherwise, if you keep saying that that creator must have another creator, there will be no universe in existence. Logical.
شيخ
نعم.
السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام.
يعني السؤال في حد ذاته خاطئ، لأن الخالق إذا كنا كيف خلقنا لم يعد خالقا بل يصبح مخلوق.
That is true. That's true. So that's why I say the question is wrong. Because if you say who created it will be like he is a creator, because the creator is different from the creation. So if he becomes creator, then he's no longer creator. It's contradictory. So that's what I'm saying. There's a contradiction of logic there. If you say, okay, who created God? Cannot be who created God. He is the creator. He cannot be created, yeah. Because he is the creator. He is not created. It is against the principle of being creator that you are created. Then you're no longer created. If somebody creates you, means you're creation. So there's creation, al-makhluq, wal-khaliq. So al-khaliq is the one who creates. Al-makhluq is the one who's created. Like for instance, if I made something, I made the table or the chair. Okay, I'm the one who made it, okay? Like I'm the creator of the table or the carpenter. Am I the same thing as the no, I'm not. This is different. So I cannot become my creation. I'm different. I made that table, I made that chair, but I'm not the same thing and I'm not part of it. So this is the way to prove it. There has to be somebody who made it. So the fact that the universe exists, and we see the sun, see the moon, all this is happening, means there's somebody who is created. Okay? Now, we can keep going. We'll leave this.
You can say
as a reaction. For each action, there's an equal. For each action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. It's one of the laws of Newton. Okay. For each action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. This is physics, laws of physics. Yeah. For each action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And there's law, we know that there is a law of cause and effect in the universe. There's a cause and effect law in the universe. If you do something, something else will happen. There is cause and effect. Okay. So Dora basically is what we are looking at now. Let's leave Isaac Newton now. Okay. The other thing is, we have just discussed this, you have to tell them, the non-Muslim, that the creator is different from the creation, because you cannot say that the creator becomes part of his creation. Like some religions believe that God is part of his creation, like Hinduism, for instance. So the carpenter, he makes the table, but it's not the table. He is the one who made the table, but it doesn't become table, you know. It's not the same thing. Like a man can make a car, manufacture a car, he doesn't become a car. He is the one who made the car, okay? So this is important because otherwise there will be a difficulty of understanding. They have to understand that the creator is different from the creation. They're not the same thing, they're two separate things. And the creator has the power and ability to put this universe into existence. And we humans are not powerful. So we can't create anything, not even a fly. So The Creator must have been all-powerful, all-knowing, all-capable. But I am not the same. I have been created, I don't have this power. I don't have the same ability. So they have to understand that God is God, man is man. You know why that is important? Some Christians, they believe in God and man is, God can become man and be God at the same time. So you have to make sure that from the beginning, they understand God is God, He has different attributes from the human being. Or God is separate from His creation. He doesn't have the same attributes of His creation. So He has to be unique, different from His creation. Okay.
Sheikh,
Now,
there is another part which is important. Allah is the Lord of the worlds.
Yes.
The problem is that human believe that when God creates us, He has the same qualifications as we have. يعني مثلا يلد كما نحن نلد. يعني كثير من الناس المشكل في هذا السؤال من خلق الله يعني من أوجد الله بداية من أين؟ أنهم يحسبون أن كما للإنسان بداية كما ولد الإنسان يجب أن يولد الإله وهو خلق الأكوان يعني لو أن المخلوقات الأخرى الملائكة تسأل نفس السؤال أو الشياطين أو الجن أو كل يعني كل المخلوقات تسأل نفس السؤال يعني على الإله أن يجب أن تكون له نفس الصفات لمخلوقاته which is absurd.
Exactly. This is what we're saying now. Right now we're saying that cannot be the created same as His creation. Like if you make a table, you are a carpenter, you make a table. You are not a table. You don't have the same quality. You make the table, but you do not become a table. You don't have this. You are different from the table. Like a man manufactures a car. He knows how to press everything, he made it, but it's not the car, it's different. So the attributes of God have to be different from the creation. So Allah cannot be like us. He cannot be having the same attributes like us. He is unique. That's what we have to prove to them, that God is different from human beings. Because we humans, we have a beginning, we are finite. We have a beginning, we are born, and then we die. God cannot die. God has no beginning and no end. God is all-powerful. He can do anything He wants. But humans are not all powerful. They don't have power to do anything except by Allah's permission. Okay? We only know what we can see and hear, what is the present and the past. We don't know the future, what will happen in the future. Our knowledge is limited. Okay? Humans, they sleep, they get tired, they forget. God does not have these attributes. So the biggest problem with most people is that they confuse the attributes of God with the attributes of the human being. They mix the two. And this comes from the philosophies of the old pagan religion, like Greek philosophy and Hindu philosophy and Egyptian, because for them it's normal. God can become human, He can have relations with the human one, have a child, and not only that, He can be both God and man, and it's all confusion. Because the biggest problem is that the philosophy of that God becomes man is like He's a creator becoming the creation. It's illogical. This is what we have to prove to them, that the attributes of God are separate from the attributes of the human. Okay?
Sheikh,
now,
I want to add something.
Yes.
The real problem of creation and creator is that we are talking about the cause and effect law. And even this law is a creation by God.
Yeah, it's very big. Before that, there was no. It doesn't apply to God. Yes. It's only for this physical world. Yes. The physical world, which is our world, where you have the laws of cause and effect. Beyond this, the spiritual realm doesn't apply this law. This only applies for the humans, for us, and this planet Earth. This is what Allah's made this as the rule for us. If you don't put the seed in the ground, it won't grow. It won't come and bear fruit. If you don't strive, you won't get any results. You have to work hard to achieve certain things. You have to make effort. If you just sit and do nothing, nothing will happen. You have to move, As I said, fil haraka baraka, So Allah's put these rules. You have to do something to get something. You make effort to get the result, you see. If you don't make the effort, you don't get the result. This is for the dunya. But the spiritual realm, the other, which has to do with the angels, and this is something not applying. This is different. It's a different realm altogether. Now, how can we prove to them that there's only one God? Tell them, suppose you have a company and there are two CEOs. two managers, what will happen?
Okay.
They'll be fighting chaos. Each one will fight with the other to take over, and they'll be opposing each other, and there'll be all these problems. So this shows that if you have more than one manager in a company and more than one leader in a department, there should be chaos, there should be disputes, there should be divisions. But do we see that in the universe? Do we see there's chaos in the universe? Do we see there's some problems going on in the universe? Nothing. So it shows that there's only one manager, one ruler for the universe, one controller of the universe. Logically, this shows from the fact that there are no more than one God. And Allah says in the Quran, had there been within the heavens and the earth gods besides Allah, they would have both been ruined. So exalted is Allah, Lord of the throne, above what they describe. So Allah says that if there's more than one God, they'll fight each other, and each one will try to take over from the other what they have. So each one will try to compete with the other or take over their creation. But since we don't see this fighting, we don't see this chaos, we don't see this problem, cannot be more than one God, logically. There's no more than one God. Others will be fighting each other. Even in any situation, you have in the office, you have two managers, they'll be fighting each other. This is normal. Now, the conclusion. The creator is uncreated because we are not able to have an infinite chain of creators. Because one place has to stop. If so, who created this, who created that, okay, who created him, who created this God, and then who created that, it will never end. It will be infinity. So there has to be a point where it stops. So logically, we have to have a creator who is not created. Otherwise, then you never end. You cannot go, okay, God created who, another, who created that, another one. Then you never end. Or it will stop. See, this is the thing. Another proof is that God is unique, different from His creation. Because the attributes of the creator has to be different from the creation. If you make a robot and say, made a robot, you're not the robot. You're different from the robot. The robot goes by the whatever programming you put inside it. But it's not the same as you. Okay? And you are different from the robot. So, you are a carpenter, made a table, you're not the same as the table. So we have to use the logic to make them understand that a creator is different from his creation and doesn't have the same attributes. Okay. Revelation. Now, if they believe in the universe has to have a creator, and then he's only one, we have now taken two steps with them. The biggest step is now to convince them that there is need for revelation. This way it gets harder. So what you have to tell them, look, if God exists and He's one, He should tell us at least why He created us. What is the purpose of life? Give us guidance in spirituality, how we should live our life. How can we attain success? Or what is the main purpose of existence here? It's not just create and leave us like that. So He should send us some guidance. So that's why you can tell them, because of this, we believe that we have to get revelation from God. Because we have to know what is His will, what He wants from us. Why did He make us here? Why does He provide for us food and give us clothing and all these things that we are having without telling us what He wants us to do? So logically, if we believe there is a God and He's one, He must tell us what He wants from us. Why did He create us? For what purpose? So that's what we say, there's a need for revelation. God has actually sent many guidance, many books in the past. He sent manuals to human beings or scripture, and we can tell them that the last one was sent for 1,400 years ago. That's the Quran. It's like a compass for a human being on how to live your life here. It also gives you direction and purpose of life and explains how to live a life that pleases God. So the Quran, we can tell them at this stage that it is the last and most comprehensive book of guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is the way you can introduce, after convincing them that there is a God, He's one, and there is a need for revelation. Okay? And of course, we as humans, we don't know much about ourselves. Now God who created us knows what's good for us, what's bad for us. So He has to give us guidelines. Like if you make a machine, you have to provide a maintenance manual for that machine. So if you buy any car or any phone, they give you a manual that says how to maintain and operate this machine so it works effectively. Now if you don't follow that manual, it may break down, something may go wrong with it. So we believe that God who created us knows best what's good for us, what's harmful for us. That's why He sent us this guidance or this revelation to teach us how we can live a good life, so that we'll be happy and successful in this world and the next world. So this is the reason for having the Quran's our like manual or handbook to show us how to live the life in a way that it will be pleasing to God. But the question comes now, how do we know this manual or this Quran is from God? How to prove that this is really from God, not from somebody who wrote it? It's the next step. Now we have to find some information in that manual that confirmed by scientific facts. So it will give the scientific miracles of the Quran. So you can mention some of these miracles. You have the preservation of the Quran. See, the only book which has never been changed in history is the Quran. It's never gone through any changes. And this is one of the miraculous aspects of the Quran. It's been protected from any corruption. From the beginning of the time of the Prophet till the end, till now, until the end of the world, it's never been changed. So Allah said He protect this book. Until now we can verify that it's been protected from any change. This is one of the miracles you can mention. The other miracles is that we talk about the scientific facts in the Quran, like Allah said, and the heaven we constructed with strength, and indeed we are its expander. So this is chapter 5, verse 1. Allah talks about the creation of the heavens and that He is expanding it. Now can you imagine, 1400 years ago, okay, in Arabia, which is the most backward part of the world, most undeveloped part of the world, somebody telling you that the universe is expanding. And when it was discovered? 1929, by using modern equipment and all this technology and microscopes and telescopes. And how did he know this fact? You can ask, how did he get to know this 1400 years ago? This is a good point for him to think about. This one, okay. Another one. Allah says in the Quran, we made every وَخَلَقْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلُّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ. We have made every living thing from water. Will they not believe? Tell them this fact is just known recently. Okay? How did the Prophet ﷺ know about that every living being is created from water? We know that our body has cells. Each cell has at least maybe 80 or 90% is water. Most of our body is water because the cells, the water is the most important part of the life on any planet. So when scientists are looking for life on planet Mars, they look for water first. Without water there can be no life, this is for sure. So with 80% or 70% of our bodies is water. Now, how did Muhammad ﷺ know about this in that time and period? He didn't have all this information or this technology or scientific equipment to find this out. The Quran says about the mountains, and have we not made the earth a resting place and the mountains as stakes? Stakes means like they have roots. Like when you make a tent, you have the peg that holds it, the tent not to fall. So it's like they have deep roots which hold the earth from shaking. So if the Quran describes mountains as stakes, it means they have roots. And this has been found now by through geology, that there's most of the mountain is under the ground. What you see just the tip, but most of it is underground. That's why it holds the earth from shaking. So this is the root of the mountain. Okay, so you just see the crust, but the root is deep under. So this was mentioned to the Prophet how many years ago? 1400 years ago. You can talk about the split, the separation of the sweet water and the salt water, the embryo, the human being, how it's developed from a clot of blood to a drop of sperm to a clinging clot of blood to lump of flesh to bones. All the scientific facts. There are hundreds of them. You can just quote at least 4 or 5 at least, and then you can tell them who taught Muhammad this information. What is the source of this information? Logically, it could not have been got from any human being. Nobody had this information at that time. It's only been discovered in the last 2 centuries. So this shows... Yeah.
Wrote this book when he was illiterate.
Yeah, and he was not learned or illiterate. I mean, he was a literate person. Okay. So we can tell them that we can find thousands, hundreds, a lot of examples in the Quran of scientific facts, which show that this has a source other than from human being. Because what is the logical? What is the source of this information? Prophet Muhammad would not have known it himself. Nor did the Arabs have this. No, any civilization that knew this information. That must have been only from God. So logically, the only source for this info must be from God, because nobody knew this information at that time. Most of these facts are just recently discovered in the last 2 centuries, 19th and 20th centuries. Yes, sister.
Just want to add a comment.
Yes.
There are mashayikh who do not believe in i'jaz al-ilmi in Quran, and they say that we shouldn't say it's i'jaz. They say that the only i'jaz in Quran is the i'jaz al-bayani. So they say that we cannot link a science that could change with technology, with times, with the Quran. So what do you answer to these comments?
Okay, thanks for your contribution. Basically, we don't just we don't use theories which are likely to change. Something that's just somebody has discovered something new. What we are mentioning is our facts. We talk about the universe expanding is already established fact, which is known by scientists and which is confirmed by the Quran. We have embryology, like the embryology which has been discovered by scientists, how the human being is created with modern equipment. It's not something that is likely to change, and the Quran confirms it. So what you're saying that any scientific fact that is known beyond doubt, that it's a fact, it's been proven, it's not been something there's a room for doubt, we can use that as an argument, because it shows that the Quran is an evidence. Why did Allah mention then the creation of the universe, and the creation of the human being in the embryo, and the creation of these things for just giving us just information? To prove to the non-believers that there is God. Because why? Some people, they don't accept miracles of the Prophet, they don't accept scripture. But if Allah mentions these facts to the kuffar, and they're scientists, they can know these facts, they have to think, how did Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam know about these facts? When he was uneducated, he was not a scientist, he did not have this equipment and this technology and all these modern facilities to find out this information. Who is the source of this information? This is the thing. Allah is using this. What he said, Allah said, أَفَلَا يَرَوْنَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَنَّ السَّمَاءَ أَوَلَمْ يَرَى الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَنَّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْكَالَةَ رَتْقًا فَفَتَقْنَاهُمَا. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling them, the unbelievers, this is made for the unbelievers who don't believe in miracles or the creation of Allah. Don't they see, and don't they see that the heavens were together and we blew it aside? This is ayah, dalil ala wujudillah azza wa jalla. We need to use these facts. I believe that the opposite is the case. We should use these facts to prove to the unbelievers that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists, because this information was not known to the Prophet or not any human being at that time, and for many years, for thousands of years, till only recently. So it must have a source. So who is the source of this information? This is the issue. There must be a source. So the scholars may be saying this because they're afraid that maybe this scientific fact might change or might be altered, or maybe we may use something to disqualify the Quran. No. Ijaz al-ilmi not only bayani, it has to do with the facts, the information, the prophecies in the Quran. Many prophecies are in the Quran also, regarding the future, things that will happen. Like the Romans will defeat the Persians. We have many prophets like Abu Lahab, that will never become Muslim, and many other facts we can mention in the Quran which talk about facts that are future facts. So we should use all this for the sake of proving the truth, because as long as we have evidence that is true in the Quran, there's nothing to doubt about it. Because if suppose somebody's mentioned a scientific fact, there's no mention of it in the Quran, I cannot say that is true or not, I don't know. But we don't doubt that the Quran is true. So if it confirms what the Quran says, we know it's true. What is the problem then? So only problem is don't use some issues which are not confirmed to be true by the Quran. Suppose somebody mentioned something new, we don't know about it. That maybe when you pray, there is something, energy is flowing from your body, or it's like yoga and exercise, or it has a treatment. Okay, this could be true, but there's no, we cannot use that as an argument that this is why we are praying. Because we have to be very sure what we are saying. Any new development, scientific development, we cannot just accept it and say it's okay, this is part of the Quran. No, it has to be proved by the Quran. There's clear evidence. So we have to be selective on what we select as evidence. Don't use anything, only what is known 100% to be correct, 100% sure. Because this is the Quran is the word of Allah, it cannot change. And should not be proved wrong by scientists, because we are the ones to prove them wrong, not they are to prove us wrong. It is the opposite. Because the word of Allah is perfect, but human beings can make mistakes. There's no doubt about it.
شيء؟
نعم يا أختي.
يعني هذه النقطة في غاية الأهمية. هناك من المشايخ يعني من ينكرون يعني science facts which are correct 100%.
ذاك يعني الأرض دائرة، هناك من يقول لا نقبل بهذا أو من هذا يعني لا إشكال فيه ولا اختلاف فيه، لأن فهمهم المشكل يعني فهمهم القرآن هو الخطأ وليس قول الله هو الخطأ يعني. ثم شيخ another point please. Just
I understand, yeah. Maybe there are some sheikhs that don't believe the earth is round. This is a strange thing, but wallahu, it's a scientific fact, yeah. So I don't know why they take that position. Maybe their tafsir they got it wrong, their way they interpret the Quran. But we cannot deny that the earth is wrong. Again, it's obvious, it's an obvious fact, yeah.
And it's in the Quran.
Okay.
The is like an egg.
Yeah. See, the thing is that maybe sometimes the sheikhs, they're not perfect, they're human, they make mistakes in their tafsir, but I don't see why they don't accept scientific facts which are confirmed to be 100% to be true. This is logically, and it's in the interest of da'wah to use this information to prove that the Quran is the word of God. Allah guide them, and because I know they may have their own way of understanding, but as far as I can see, as far as the majority of the sheikhs, they appreciate that we can link these facts with the Quran, because it's to prove the word of Allah is true and Islam is the true religion. And Allah said, "Sanurihim ayatina fil afaq wa fi anfusihim hatta yatabayyan lahum annahu al-haqq." Why did Allah say this? And we showed them our signs in the heavens and in themselves until it's clear to them it is the truth. This is the why we have to use this, because Allah did not send this ayat just for us to read and enjoy reading it. It is to use it for da'wah. وَجَاهِدْهُمْ بِهِ جِهَادًا كَبِيرًا. So the Quran is our best tool, our best weapon to convey Islam to the non-Muslim. Because it's a miracle. The greatest miracle of Rasul is the Quran, which proves that he's the Prophet from Allah. And the facts that are contained in the Quran is evidence that this is not from Muhammad sallallahu, it's from Allah. So we can use this information as to the best of my knowledge, as long as it's confirmed to be true, yes. I have no doubt. Don't use any doubtful information. If something is not confirmed, like theory of evolution, we don't know. There's a lot of missing points. You cannot say this is in the Quran. We don't know. There's no proof about it. So only what is confirmed 100%, you can use it. There's no problem. As far as I know, Allahu Akbar.
For example, the Quran explains for detail.
Mike, please. Sisters need to hear what you're saying. Yes.
Bismillah. The Quran explains in detail who the baby he passed the level in his mother.
Yes.
But not Prophet Muhammad sallallahu is not have a microscope to have this information.
Yeah. See, the way Allah has mentioned the creation of the human being in the womb of the mother as an embryo or fetus, from how you develop stage by stage, is so detailed and so accurate that Keith Moore, one of the famous embryologists, Canadian embryologists, who discovered this process in 1963 using electronic microscopes, ultrasound and all these modern X-ray machines, to map out the real growth of the embryo and the human, how step by step the human being grows. Because it's so tiny, you don't see with the naked eye. So, giving these facts that he has discovered that confirm what the Quran says, it's amazing. So Rasul did not have this modern electronic equipment, not even dissect anybody, he's not a scientist, no, he could not say anything. And also, at that time, there was no such ability to find this information. There was no technology to be able to map this kind of very, very small, how it goes, it's very difficult. So we know that this is a proof that Muhammad could not have concocted this fact. It must be from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who inspired him with the truth. So as I said, all these facts, the human being, how is created in the womb of the mother, the stages of the growth of the embryo, they talk about the creation of the Big Bang, the heavens and the earth, the expanding of the universe, the separation of the sweet water and the salt water, or the invisible barrier. You can talk so many facts. Allah has given us so many signs in the Quran. So we don't, as Muslims, we don't need all this because we already have yaqeen that's from Allah. But for the kuffar, it's the only weapon we can use. because they don't have that iman, they don't have the faith in Allah or in His Messenger. They need something, facts, concrete facts. So you can tell them, okay, these facts are mentioned in the Quran. These are confirmed to be true scientifically. Now you tell me where it came from. What is the source of this information? This is the way. So it must have a source. It didn't come from nowhere. Somebody must have told the Prophet about this information. So who is this person? Who is this? Who gave this information to the Prophet? So this is very clear. So logically, they would have to accept. Even that scientist, he said, there's no possibility that Muhammad would have known this information at that time. There's no technology to be able to map out these features or the development of the features. So it must be from God. He said it must be from God. He acknowledged that fact.
Sheikh,
now,
please, when we speak to the Hinduists and Buddhists,
yeah.
they believe that there are many gods. Yeah. So they believe that they don't select between them. There is the god of love, the god of beauty, the god of many things. And when you say the example of humans, they يعني يتشاجرون بينهم عندما يكون هناك الكثير من المسؤولين. Here we commit an error because we speak that like if gods are the same attributes of humans. يعني نقول شيئا ثم نقول ضده من بعد.
I didn't understand the question.
يعني
the question again.
شيخ البوذيين والهندوس
أيوة.
يقولون أن الآلهة لا تتصارع فيما بينها. Because they are perfect, they are not like a human. When we give the example of managers, I think that's wrong because we just have said that they don't have the same attributes like humans. أظن أنه يعني الأحسن أن نجيب يعني يمكن حتى أن نفترض أنهم على صواب، أن هناك العديد من الآلهة. نفترض ذلك يعني للحين يعني حتى نثبت لهم العكس. مثلا
I understood now the point. You're saying that the gods, they don't fight each other. It's not true. If you go to the Greek mythology, the gods are fighting each other all the time.
They think that they are perfect. A god by definition is perfect. Yeah.
How is a god perfect when he only controls sun and the other controls water? If he was perfect, he would have controlled everything.
لو كان فيهما آلهة إلا الله لفسدتا.
Yes, Sheikh, I share with you this point, but just a minute.
Yeah. Go ahead, sister, explain your point.
يا شيخ، يعني يمكن هذين إيمانهم يعني نصدق بقول الله، لكن هم يظنون يمكن أن يظنوا العكس، قليل منهم يعني حتى. يمكن شيخ هنا أن نحتاج يعني بحجة أننا مثلا يمكن أن نضر مثلا النباتات التي يعبدونها أو نذبح البقرة التي يعبدونها، ولكن منهم من يجيب مثلا الشمس لا يمكن أن نضرها، يمكن أن تكون إله in this case. في هذا الوقت يمكن أن نقول حجة أخرى يعني هذه الآلهة هل أرسلت لكم لتدلكم أنها آلهة لكم حتى تبين لكم الحق يعني؟ سيقولنا ليه؟ إذن بخطوط يعني على العكس هناك إله من أرسل كتاب يبين الحق، يعني اقرأ له ثم تبين إن كان هو آلهة أم لا. الآلهة الأخرى لم تبعث شيئا ولم ترسل شيئا تدل أنها آلهة لتعبد، لا الشمس ولا القمر ولا النباتات ولا البقر ولا شيء.
Okay, this is another way to argue with them. But if the Hindus are the ones who are telling you gods don't fight, it's not true. In their books, they talk about Rama. Rama, he was one of their gods. His wife was stolen by another god. He took him to Sri Lanka, from India to Sri Lanka, and his wife was named Sita. He is called the devil god. Okay? So this Rama god, he had to seek help from another monkey god to build a bridge across India to Sri Lanka to rescue his wife. It took him 8 years to do the job. So what kind of, the gods are fighting each other. One is stealing the wife of one, and he has taken her as a hostage, and this one is seeking help to fight the other god. So in Hinduism, the gods are fighting each other, same, like in Greek mythology. So if you know about their religion, they cannot deceive us, because they tell, oh, their gods are not perfect. Why then, if this god steals the wife of another god, and then they have to fight, they have to seek help from another god to help to restore, to bring back that other, the wife of the other god. So these gods are like humans, they behave like humans. we can tell them, look, it is normal in any situation, if there are more than one manager, that they will be confused. Suppose this God wants to do something, another God does not want to do that. He has a different plan. So what will happen? They'll fight each other. So these gods cannot be cooperating unless they have one will. They have to have the same will. But you see, the problem with them, they think that since they are perfect, they don't fight each other, because they think that they all have the same thinking, the same way of believing. It's not the same, it's not true. So we can try to tell them logically in any situation, if you have two gods or three gods, each one will try to take over from the other, the creation of the other, or take away his creation and go somewhere else. Suppose I own the Milky Way galaxy, I'll take it and put it somewhere else, another will take it go somewhere else. Why should I, listen to another God to tell me what to do? But since this is not happening, there's no confusion in the universe, the Milky Way does the same place and the other galaxies are operating the same way, there is no way to tell there's a problem or fighting or confusion in the universe. We cannot say that it's more than one God. So it's just a matter of trying to bring logic into the argument. But they may not believe, as you say, they don't accept that. They may say, no, our gods are perfect. Fine, if that's what they want to believe, that's their choice.
Every country wants to do a kingdom for him.
Yeah. So Allah said, لَعَلَى بَعْضُهُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ وَلَا ذَهَبَ كُلُّ إِلَهٍ بِمَا خَلَقَ. So this is normal. God is powerful. Now, no one wants to be somebody to be more powerful than him. If you are the king of a country, and somebody is going to compete with you, will you accept to have another king to be with you and in the same kingdom? No way. You cannot have two kings in the same country. One will fight the other till he takes over from the other. So one of them has to be king, cannot be two kings. So one will kill the other, one will fight the other, will get rid of the other. This is normal in any situation. So you cannot have two kings of the universe or three kings or more than one king, because then will fight each other. This is a normal situation. Whether it's applying to humans or whether it's applying to gods, we know that they'll be competing with each other.
Like
for sure.
In Sudan, the north and the south.
Yeah. So it's a problem with people who have this concept of other gods. You may have a problem. But I talk about atheists. With atheists, logic will work. You only use logical arguments with atheists. So Hindus, if they bring this issue, say, no, we know about your god Rama. He had a fight with the monkey god or the other devil god. So this is not true, because he was, his wife was stolen by the other god. So then there's a conflict between them. Okay. Now, prophethood is the other final position or step. When you talk to you have talked to the non-Muslim atheist, and he says, okay, there's a God, is one, and there's a need for revelation. The last point is to emphasize that there is a need to have a prophet. Now, how do we introduce prophethood in the argument? This is the problem. They may say, okay, you have a revelation, then why you need a prophet? How could we answer them?
How did we get the revelation?
Okay, yeah.
Without prophet.
Does God need to talk to everybody? God doesn't talk to everybody. He has to select somebody to communicate his message. So we believe that God chose from among the people, certain people, to convey his message to the people. So he revealed this message to them, and they're the ones who communicate it to us. So this is what we call the prophets. Through history we have so many prophets, starting with Adam, Noah, all the way to Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad. So we can tell these are the people that who brought the same message from the same God. But we can tell them that we know that Muhammad is the last one and the final one, and he was given the final complete message from God. And before even he became a prophet, he had specific characters. He was called truth, he was honest, he was truthful, he did not commit the evils that these people are doing, he was not worshipping idols. He had specific characteristics. So you can tell them that due to his sincerity and truthfulness, we have no doubt that he's truly a prophet. Because he has shown, before he even became a prophet, that he was an honest, truthful person. He was called by his enemies Al-Amin. So you can prove that the Prophet ﷺ, before he became a prophet, was known as Al-Amin, the truthful, trustworthy one. And we can say, if it's truly that we have to judge the Prophet, we have to say, there are three possibilities. Either he was lying, or he was deluded, or is it really a prophet? There are three possibilities. Now we can tell, let us discuss this one. The Prophet could have been a liar, maybe he was deluded, and maybe he's truthful. So let us analyze each option. Was he truly a liar? Now we say his enemies called him as-Sadiq al-Amin. Then how can he be a liar? If he didn't lie before revealing, why would he lie afterwards? So he asked them, have I ever lied? He said, ما جربنا عليك كذبا. So he is known to be truthful. First step. Second step, why does somebody lie? Why would I lie? If I want some benefit, material benefit, money, power, wealth, some position, I lie. But Rasulullah was offered wealth by the Quraysh, power, women, anything you want, but just don't spread the message. He refused. He didn't accept their offer. That shows that he was not after these things. So he cannot be a liar. If he is a liar, he should ask for these things. He didn't ask, he suffered a lot because he was sincere to his cause. So that is eliminated. The second possibility is maybe he was deluded. Okay, we said maybe he was deluded, right? Maybe you think maybe he thought he was a prophet.
What does it mean?
Deluded means تخيل يظن يعني هو مو حقيقة بس هو ظن يعني هو نبي أو ادعى النبوة ظن منه إنه هو فعلا نبي بس حقيقة مو نبي يعني maybe he was deluded, he had maybe some mental delusions called like تخيلات يعني كاذبة يعني false notions, yeah, maybe something from his mind, yeah, he was playing tricks on his mind. So you can tell him, if he truly is deluded, can he bring something wonderful like the Quran? Someone is deluded can come with a wonderful book like the Quran. Does it show any person that is deluded can bring a book like this one? Impossible. So the Quran itself shows that Muhammad is not deluded. It's very important, and you have to share that if Rasulullah was deluded, he cannot bring something as amazing, as wonderful, as perfect as the Quran. So it cannot be that something is... So the only option then is left is he is truly speaking the truth. So you eliminate all these possibilities and come to the final conclusion, and then you can tell him, in conclusion, Muhammad did not have the psychological profile of somebody who is a liar or deluded. Therefore, he was telling the truth. So step by step, you tell them, okay, we have to analyze the Prophet Muhammad. Was he a liar? Was he deluded? Or was he speaking the truth? These are the only possibilities. The first possibility is not true because even his enemies say he was truthful before he even got to become a prophet. So somebody who does not lie before to the people, how can he lie about God? Not possible. Even afterwards, was not always, he never lied in his life. He was not to be honest and true and had good character, good conduct. He did not show any, he did not behave like the other people like who were drinking and doing all kind of, he never used to get engaged in those things. So it's not to be somebody of upright conduct. So why would he die now? Another point to prove that it's not lies, he would have sought some material benefit. If you lie, you want to get some benefit. So why would he lie if there's no benefit for him? They offered him money, wealth, women, position. He said, you want to be a king, we'll make you a king. You want to have money, we'll give all our money so you become the most rich of us, so that we are the wealthiest of us. He refused. You want women, we'll find you, any woman you want to get you married to that woman. He said, no, I'm not asking for this. He said, I'm only here to convey the message. He refused. So this shows that he's speaking the truth. So we can use this argument, inshallah. And so there are so many other contentions that people may have, so we need to break, I think, for tea. And we can cover this, inshallah. I have some DVDs, I'll show you some videos, which explain this more clearly. I'm giving just like a brief outline, but the DVDs will explain in more detail how this works in practice. So
why the woman is wearing hijab at the end, after presenting the Quran?
How she's wearing hijab?
Why?
Okay.
First question.
See, the point is this. It's not the question, because the problem is what he's saying, Ibrahim Green, and he said that if you answer the question, okay, immediately, they might say, okay, fine, and they leave. So he's trying to bring them back to the square one. He said, before I answer your question, I have to give you the foundations on which Islam is based on. So you understand why. Because in the end you can prove to them, because I believe there is a God, and He is the one who has sent this revelation, and Muhammad is the Prophet, so I have to accept. He has commanded me. See, since I believe now there is a one God, and He is true, and Muhammad is Prophet, and the Quran is that, why should I object to the command of God to wear hijab? So this is the answer, in the sense that...
This is what is missing.
Exactly. They don't have iman in Allah or the Prophet or the Quran. So there's no basis for him to believe, why should I wear hijab? But when they know there is God, and that He sent the Prophet, and there is Quran, and then it's normal to accept that this is from Allah. So he wants to obey the God. So he believes in this God and in his prophet, then he has to obey them. So this is how you build the argument. Like step by step you build the argument to prove to them that this is a command from Allah. So it's in our best interest. Since God is the most knowledgeable, we accept it. And we do it out of love for God and in obedience to His commands. Because we believe that He's really existing and that Muhammad is really the Prophet of Allah and the Quran is the word of Allah. So this way you can solve a lot of time. Time can be wasted sometimes in explaining to them, giving different arguments, and they will not get convinced. My position is that you answer them at least briefly initially, and then continue and say, if you want to really understand why we're doing this, let me tell you about the foundation of Islam, how it's founded, on what basis. Then you bring them to the Gora approach. Okay. So this is basically about the Gora, but after all this you have to tell them that you have to make the Shahada. If they believe that there's one God, God exists, there's only one God, and it's unique, and the Quran is a revelation from Allah, and Muhammad is the Prophet of Allah, then you say, okay, would you like to join this community of Muslims? You have to make the invitation. Don't just leave them like that. Say, okay, khalas, go your way, go my way. No, you have to tell them, since you accept this fast, are you now ready to become a member of this Muslim community? You can offer them the invitation. So they will become, so you have to make the Shahada. Yes.
About revelation and how we convince them about
Quran, yeah.
is the true revelation.
Yeah.
We mentioned that
Use the microphone, sir.
Yeah, can you give Hisham notes? Okay, sister, sorry about
that. We mentioned that we prove by scientific fact. Maybe we forgot about authenticity of the book, the Quran.
That's a good point. By the way, you know,
and the unity of there is no versions like Bible.
One of the ways, Jazakallah khair, that's a good point. Brother Hisham has given a good point. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has challenged humanity from the time of Rasulullah till the end of the world to produce a book similar to the Quran. And if we doubt, وَإِن كُنْتُمْ فِي شَكٍّ فِي رَيْبٍ مما نرسل إليك مما نزلنا على عبدنا فأتوا بسورة مثله. So nobody can do it till now. We cannot reproduce the Quran. Allah's given this challenge, nobody could. Then Allah said 10 surahs, then 1 surah. Till now nobody can do it because it's unique. It's not possible. If all the humanity and all the jinn work together to produce the Quran, they cannot do it. So this one of the, you can call it the litmus test. You know, in chemistry you have the litmus test. To say something is...
Either A. Then he said 1A.
Then 1A, yeah, from 10 surahs to surah to 1A. Nobody can produce the... This is impossible because these words are the same Arabic words, the letters are the same Arabic, but how it's joined together is miraculous. So these people, you can tell them, if you doubt that this Quran is from Allah, you don't believe it's from Allah, then you have a very easy way to prove me wrong. It's very easy, you can prove me wrong. Just produce one chapter, one surah like this. The shortest surah, 3 verses. Surah Al-Kawthar, make similar, 3 lines like this in Arabic. Yeah, just very short. Why don't you produce like this? So the Arabs, they couldn't do it, maybe we can try it. So give them a challenge and tell them, and God has told us if we cannot do it, then we should be afraid of the punishment. Now.
يعني هناك محاولات قاموا بهذه يعني مثل مسيلمة الكذاب عند الردة، ومثل الشيعة عندما كتبوا سورة الإمامة ثم يعني كانت هناك يعني صارت مشكلة كبيرة حتى حذفت. يعني هناك محاولات، لكن يجب أن نقول أن ليس هناك إعجاز مثل إعجاز القرآن، ليس هناك روعة مثل روعة القرآن. يعني عندما نقرأ مثلا الآيات التي كتبها مسيلمة الكذاب.
It's مضحك يعني it's a joke. So even those people who said they said you are كذاب, we know you are كذاب, بس كذاب منا خير من صادق من قريش. So the thing is that it's clear that what he did was false. And we know that even the Americans, they tried to make what's called Al-Furqan, something like that. It's not really like Quran. It's nonsense. You can tell the difference. So they miss the point. They don't understand. It's not just putting something together. It has to have the miraculous aspect of the Quran. Yeah. استخدم المايك لو سمحت. الأخوات يسمعوني.
بسم الله. يعني الإجابة فقط على النقطة اللي ذكرتها الأخت للتحدي في القرآن وهو أن يأتي إنسان أمي لا يعرف الكتابة ولا القراءة بمثل هذا القرآن ولو بسورة واحدة. لذلك من الآيات الشيطانية التي كتبها مسلم الكذاب أو غيره فليست إعجاز لأنهم يعرفون القراءة والكتابة بينما القرآن أعجز فيه النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان نبيا أميا لا يعرف ولا القراءة ولا الكتاب ولكن مع ذلك أتى بهذا القرآن المعجز.
طبعا يعني nobody can succeed. Allah says وَلَن تَفْعَلُوا يعني nobody can do it. But the thing is this. See, you can tell them, if you can produce a Quran like this one, خلاص, you prove me wrong. And they'll never be able to do it. We know some case people tried and they became Muslims. Many tried and they became Muslims, they could not do it. But the thing is that we have to tell them also there's another way. Allah said, if it was from other than him, it will have a lot of contradictions. وَلَوْ كَانَ مِنْ عِنْدِ غَيْرِ اللَّهِ لَوَجَدُوا فِيهِ اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا.
It's like in the Bible.
Yeah. You don't find any contradictions. The Bible is full of contradictions. Didat has found 50,000 contradictions in the Bible.
And the root of atheism is because of the bad teachings of the church.
Yeah. So the Bible is full of mistakes and contradictions. I can show you some of them. I have them in the presentation, but now is not the time. But basically, it is full of contradictions. But alhamdulillah, in the Quran, we don't have these contradictions. So you can say, how can a human being write a book and not have any mistakes or contradictions? It's not possible. So this shows that this is not man-made. See, these are all ways to prove that the Quran is unique and it's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So basically, if you reach that stage, each stage you have to stop and confirm that they accept that position before you move to the next stage. Once they accepted all these points, that there's a God who exists, who has created this universe, is only one and unique, and that there's a need for revelation and prophethood, then you can tell them now. If you are interested to become a Muslim, let me tell you what is Islam. Give him the pillars of Islam, 5 pillars of Islam, or Arkan al-Islam, explain to him, and then ask him if he wants to become a Muslim. Inshallah, this will be the end of the argument. But as I said, it depends on the situation. Maybe it will take 10 minutes, maybe it will take 1 hour, maybe it will take days or weeks. It depends on the situation. So some people maybe can only go 1 or 2 steps with him at a time, and then meet another time and discuss some more like that. So it doesn't mean that all the time you have the time to finish. It may take more time than what you plan. So give a sense of urgency. You tell them, there is a day of judgment, but we have to face Allah. So, we are going to answer for our deeds. So there is hell and heaven, there's paradise and there is hell. So let him realize that you have to make a quick decision. And tell him, and we don't know really when we'll die. Death can come anytime, so you don't have all the time to think about it. You have to make quick decisions. You have to think about it fast, So they should feel that there is a need to think about it and act upon this matter. Otherwise they say, okay, I'll take my time. I don't have to hurry, So this is the basic approach of Gora, and I'm just giving you like what you call a summarized kind of step-by-step process. But I don't say it works for everybody. It doesn't work for everybody. So ATMT works in some cases. If it doesn't work, you can use Gorab approach. Maybe you can find another approach. Maybe you can mix the two together. So I have friends in Al-Fajr, my volunteers who come into Al-Fajr. Some of them, they use both ATMT and Gorab together in the tour. They find it works together. But I have never combined the two approaches. So it depends on the situation. If somebody is atheist, maybe this is the best approach. But those who believe in God and have the basis of foundation of faith in the scriptures, in the prophets, and the life after it, I use the ATMT approach. It works with them. So it's up to you to decide which approach is best for which person. And this is based on hikmah and your own experience. So we'll be seeing, shall we take a break now for tea break? Afterwards, after 10 minutes, we'll come back and show you the videos of this Dora approach, which is prepared by Aaron and Abdurrahim. He will explain it in more detail, inshallah, to make more sense after that. Subhanallah.